Coming in hot, hot, hot. Welcome back, everybody, to the Dane TV. Welcome to Japan. Twin Ring Motegi playing host to the second to the last race of the season here for the NEP New England, Pennsylvania iRacing Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series here for the Bombs Away 69. Nice. Presented by Chonkers Racing Enterprises. Showtime. Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the production trailer alongside me, Dr. Race Chaser. Kyle Young. Kyle, I know you've been to a lot of racetracks. Have you been to Japan yet?
I can't say that I have until tonight, and I can definitely feel it. Long flight, very, very long flight over here. But man, what a facility. Very interesting oval, very technical road course, which these drivers will not have to worry about tonight. But it should still be a pretty entertaining night nonetheless. We got ourselves a nice 69 lapper here on the 1.5 mile Japanese oval that is Twin Ring Motegi. And this place is going to put these drivers through the ringer tonight, Paul. Each end of the racetrack shaped a little bit differently. It's almost like Darlington in a sense, where turns 1 and 2 are a lot wider, a lot more sweeping than what turns 3 and 4 are. Turns 3 and 4 are a lot more tighter. You're going to have to slow down a lot more. It's going to be a little more important to hit your line properly in 3 and 4 than it is in 1 and 2. 1 and 2, with it being a little more, a little wider, a little longer of an arc, you can carry a little bit more speed through there. Should be able to manage your mistakes a little easier than you would on the opposite end of the track. And as you can see up on our graphic here, underneath the RSL TV race notes, this place is going to be heavy on tire wear. So if we get into a long green flag run tonight, these guys are going to have to manage their tires. They're going to have to be intelligent with how abusive they are with these race cars and trying to save their stuff for later on in the event. They've only got 3 sets of tires to use in this race. So that's 1 on the car, that's 2 in the pits. If you can strategize it properly, they should be okay, but still, you want to make sure that in case we get into a lengthy green flag run, you have something for the later laps in the run instead of just what you're doing right here and now. So there's going to be a lot of things to watch throughout this race tonight. I think one of the most important things to watch, Paul, is that the championship could be settled by the time we leave here tonight. If Kenny Kibbe leaves this race with, if he finishes more than 6 positions ahead of Steven Daddio at the end of this deal, he will lock up the championship 1 week early. And wouldn't it be fitting enough for them to be on the front row, separated by just 3 thousandths of a second? You can't script that, Paul.
Yeah, you can see just how close those qualifying times as we get wrapped up. Just the final few moments, final few seconds here of qualifying at Twin Ring. And the lap times, they're so close that they're pretty much just zero there on the Dane TV scoring tower. There on the left-hand side of your screen. Going to be a whole lot of fun to watch these guys do battle. Just getting wrapped up with qualifying. Few moments left. We'll get that green flag ready to rock and roll, and we will get racing here at Twin Ring.
Indeed, we will. Looks like the majority of the field has taken their time. We've got 23 cars that have taken time with a potential of 25 to start this race. And as we mentioned, Kenny Kibbe and Steven Daddio on the front row. They are the only drivers in the 37.0 second bracket. You go back to the ones when you're looking at the number 1 machine of Ryan Messer in third. John Peters, position number 4 in the 09 car, and Zane Farrell will complete your top 5 starters. Paul, I got to be honest with you here. I had to kind of do a double take in preparing myself for this event. It's been a little while since I've been in connection with these guys. I actually ran a couple of the races at the beginning of the season. They didn't go well, and I decided to bail. But after doing a little bit of research, the reign of terror is over for John Peters. He will not repeat as champion. We're finally going to have a new champion here in this series.
Hashtag and new, and that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Kenny Kibbe in the seat right now. He's holding on to it. 33-point lead over Steve Daddio. We made mention those guys 1 and 2 on the qualifying efforts right now, and we're just getting wrapped up again with qualifying, getting all these drivers ready to rock and roll. Looking like 23, 24, maybe 25 cars making the boat ride out to the virtual Japan for Twin Ring Motegi. Again, the Bombs Away 69, presented by Chonkers Racing Enterprises. Gonna get everything hooked up, set up, ready to rock and or roll. Gonna take one more final break before we take the green flag here. Don't go anywhere. Grab yourself a quick little drink, and we will be right back here live on Verdane TV. And just getting things ready to rock and or roll here at Twin Ring Motegi. Gonna be a blast once again to watch these drivers get out here and do battle for 69 laps. How about Jeff McConey making his debut in the series? He's going to be in the number 16 car for Dylan Kopech here this evening, and that's going to be interesting. We haven't seen Jeff too much here on Verdane TV, the owner and founder of the McConey Setup Shop. Pretty cool to see them make their debut here tonight. We're getting these drivers lined up here on the front straightaway.
That we are, everybody getting strapped in, ready to roll here for this event. Should be a fun one, as we mentioned. We've already talked through the top 5 starters. Let's take you through the back half of the top 10. You'll have the number 12 machine of Ryan Salvatore starting in position at number 6. Evan Bullier in the 56 machine. He is going to roll off on the inside of row number 4, starting in position at number 7. One of the Marhefkas will be starting in position number 8 in the 22 machine. I know there's a Brandon, I know there's a Devin, but they decided to add some Japanese flavor to themselves here tonight, and I don't remember which one is which, so we're going to roll with that. As you just mentioned, Paul, Jeff McConey, he is in car number 11, going to be rolling off in the position in spot number 19, and Brent Roy, he's a little confused tonight. We don't have a name, but we at least have a number and a Canadian flag, so that's how you know that it's him. He will roll off in the 10th position.
Yeah, when filling out the paperwork for the entry here at the race at Twin Motegi, Brent Roy actually wrote his name in Japanese, but apparently the timing and scoring didn't like that so much. So that's going to be the 26 car. He's going to be rolling off P10. Brandon Newhouse starting right outside Dale Glessner, going to start P10 as we get all lined up, rocking around this racetrack. As you can see, Austin Balke in the 24 car starting P13. Spencer Davis, he's going to start 14th. Senpai Michael, that's got to be Michael Hopkins, going to start P15. Adam Henry, Reagan Perrin, Jason Ricker, the other Marhefka, Charles Lewandowski, going to round out the top 20.
Certainly no shortage of personalities here in this league. Green flag has flown, and we are underway here at Twin Ring Motegi, roaring off into turn number 1 for the first time. It looks like Kenny Kibbe has a slight advantage, and he is just about clear of Steven Daddio going into turn number 1, but Daddio's actually going to get himself a pretty nice run through the middle of the corner and pull back even with Kibbe. Sideways through the center of 1 and 2 is Ryan Messer. That's going to chalk up a little bit of momentum for him, and that's going to put him in a side-by-side battle for position number 4 with Ryan Salvatore in the 12.
Peyton Farrell trying to make the bottom side work. Great qualifying effort up in the top 5 for that 14 car. You can see he's on that back bumper of the 1 machine of Ryan Messer, trying to make a little magic happen. We cross the stripe here. Complete lap number 1. Everything in the book so far. These guys getting around here a little bit over 30 seconds or so per lap. You can see Kibbe and Daddio, they're already trying to separate themselves from the fields. The 3-time reigning and defending champ, the 09 car of John Peters there in a P3. And you made mention, Kyle, this is kind of an odd feeling as we get into the end of season number 4. One more race next week here, the Dover 100, to settle this championship once and for all. This is going to be the first time we're going to be seeing somebody else win the championship other than John Peters. Right now, Kenny Kibbe doing everything he can to hold on to that points lead, coming into tonight with a soft cushion, 33 points up ahead of the 99 of Daddio. But as you can see, still all work, still all business. Qualified on the pole and trying to drive away 3.5 tenths of a second of lead over Daddio in second.
We're already starting to see it, Paul. These guys are struggling with the handling of these race cars. I think all 3 laps of this event so far, we've seen some guys sliding it sideways through turns 1 and 2. We just saw a few moments ago with the 22 machine coming off of turn number 2 as you ride on board with the 12 of Ryan Salvatore, getting a good look at what these guys are going to deal with here throughout this race. Salvatore, so far, he's looking pretty smooth, keeping that car pointed straight, not letting it get out from underneath of him. Let's see what he does here through turns 1 and 2. This seems to be the trouble area early on in this one. Not a lot of banking, but as you can see, this track is extremely wide. It's not super wide when it comes to your racing lanes. You're not going to see guys ripping the wall and trying to paint down the white line. It's going to be primarily around the bottom side, but maybe as we get this race to progress a little bit further, they can maybe move up a lane and a half or so and make something work up on the upper groove so that way you're not completely dependent on the bottom side of the track. But I would not expect anybody to be running the Kyle Larson line right up about a half an inch away from the safer barrier.
And taking a peek at the weather before we got going here at the top of the show, it's 95 degrees here in Japan. Big time slick on the racing service here. Cody LeBlanc having some issues. Looks like he's going to call himself a tow truck, get back on down to the safety of pit road, struggling in that 7 NH car. Excuse me. We'll take a quick peek here at it on the U-House Racing Designs instant replay. And you called it earlier there, Kyle. Coming off of turn 4, it looks like just kind of losing the back end of the 7 NH car. We stay clean and green.
Certainly a tough deal there for Cody, but as you mentioned, he was towards the back of the pack, spun away from the racing surface, and we will stay green flag here as we get lap number 5 completed. Starting to see a bit of a position battle here with the 22 machine of Marhefka. He just got around Ryan Salvatore there in the 12 for position number 5. So move Marhefka up there into the top 5. Salvatore falls out. Looks like we got ourselves a side-by-side battle going on just behind those two. Evan Bollier now under attack from the 16 machine of Jeff McConey. McConey, as you mentioned, subbing for Dylan Kopak tonight, looking to make the most of it as he's looking underneath of Bollier for position number 7, coming off of turn number 4. Plenty of space between the two. Good side-by-side battle, just about even as they work their way across the start-finish line, and Evan Bollier will give that position up, letting McConey go with no problem. So move that 16 up one more spot. The 56 drops one, and they all fall back in line as they come off of turn 2.
You and I had the opportunity to talk to Ryan Salvatore, driver of the number 12 car here, before we came on the air. There's a little side-by-side action. Brent Roy taking a peek down low. They get it sorted out. They continue. Single file. Nope, just kidding. Brent Roy going to take a peek underneath the number 3 car, see if he can make a little magic happen underneath U-House. He's going to complete the pass just like that. This is one of the things that we kind of talked to Ryan about a little bit. As we get further and further on into these runs, this racetrack is like a cheese grater with these tires. Absolutely eats them up. Getting around here, you don't want to try and come down under green to take tires. So we're expecting these drivers to hold off to try and wait for a caution, maybe come down and get those 4 fresh tires, Goodyear fuel. We saw the race window, the fuel window rather, 40 to 42 laps, depending on what goes down throughout the event. So definitely going to have to keep an eye on that. Gives us a little bit of a window to kind of pit before halfway, maybe after, depending on when you want to get the tires, when you want to kind of take advantage of that. Because as these guys get a little bit further on into the run, you mentioned it, Kyle, the handling's starting to go away.
Yeah, and you just mentioned there that this track is one of those most abrasive tracks on the service. And those are the types of tracks that people like us, the race fans, the viewers, anybody that's not competing, we love them. The drivers, there's honestly, yes, the drivers do enjoy the fact that they have to drive, that it's in their hands. But man, when they are in the moment, it is hard. It's very difficult to keep control of these race cars. They're really having to work for it. They're complaining to their crew chiefs that this thing sucks, I have no grip, and then they tell them, oh yeah, that's all right, we understand, just give me another 25 or 30 laps and then you can come in and get fresh rubber. So it is going to be a workout for these drivers in these cars. But it makes it fun for us. We like it when the drivers are challenged. We like it when they have to struggle because that's when the racing is at its best. You hear that a lot at tracks like in the real world, like Darlington, Homestead. You're going to hear that about North Wilkesboro when the Cup Series goes there in a little less than 2 months for the All-Star race. The old abrasive surfaces typically put on the best racing because they're low grip, they eat tires, and they put the drivers through vigorous tests of skill.
Speaking of drivers having some issues with the handling, it's almost you were just listening to the in-car camera, the in-car audio of the number 14 of Zane Farrell. Started up in the 5th position. Great qualifying effort for the 14 car. Dropping like a rock, dropping like a bomb here in that number 14 car outside the top 10. And you can see Uhouse in the number 3 car. He's going to take a peek down low. Looks like the 29 car, Spencer Davis, he's going to try and tuck in and take that spot. The 24 car, Austin Belke, he sees that door getting ready to open. He's going to go all the way down to the bottom side and see if he can make a little bit of magic happen. A little bit of 3 wide. Nope, they sort it back out 2 wide as they cross the stripe.
Very good battling going on here for positions 12, 13, and 14. The battle now will go between Austin Belke and Zane Farrell for position. Belke on the bottom in the 24 car. Farrell in the black number 14 on the outside. We're getting a quick little glimpse of what these upper grooves can do early on in this race. Farrell able to hang on there for a lap, and now he's going to lose that battle, tuck right back in line, almost made contact with the right rear corner panel as he tried to get in line behind Belke there. So he will slide back another position. They will all single file out for now. Still pretty tight margins between this group, so it wouldn't surprise me if somebody else decides to break out of line. And on command, it's the 3 machine of Brandon Uhouse, going to look to the inside of Dale Glessner for position number 10. But that is for a top 10 spot, and he is unsuccessful. He falls back and is now in the clutches of Austin Belke. Can Belke get a run down the backstretch and peek to the inside into turn 3? He's looking. Does he dive? He does not. He decides to play it cool. He will stay in line and chase that YRD Designs number 3 through 3 and 4 from the rear bumper.
And a lot of times we make mention these drivers still spend the first part of the race doing their homework. You can see here's a couple of guys. They've already done their homework. Top 2 in the championship standings coming into the evening, and they're top 2 on the racetrack right now, pulling away from series champion John Peters, 3-time series champion back there, and 3rd Ryan Messer hot on his tails there for 4th Morhefka. Just a little bit further on back. How about Ryan Salvatore with a really good run? Still up in that 6th position where he started. That 12th car looking pretty good.
Certainly a smooth run for some of these guys up inside the top 5, starting to get spaced out a little bit and kind of in their own worlds. You mentioned that we typically see guys doing a lot of information gathering throughout the early stages of these races. And as I said just before we went to green flag, this is where you really got to be stressing yourself on tire management. We're already seeing the early stages of a green flag run. If this continues on, you want to make sure that you have something for later on in the race. Now we know if this goes green the entire way, they will have to pit. They do not have enough fuel to make it all the way on gas. Then it just becomes determining when do you make that pit stop. Do you try to push the fuel all the way to its full tank? Do you split this race completely in half and pit it halfway? Take one set of tires and hopefully that you can manage. Do you make your first run longer than your second run so you can be more aggressive on your tires in your second run? A lot of things that these guys have at their disposal right here for strategy-wise if we stay green. Of course, that's the big tournament, is the caution flags. But right now, starting to see some things space out. We got a good battle on screen here with Uhouse and Glessner once again. Uhouse is going back after that number 10 machine for the top 10 spot. Glessner doing a good job of holding him off on that outside lane, and he's going to clear. So how about that? Dale Glessner, oh, he may have overshot. He overshoots turn number 3 way, way wide, gives Uhouse a clear shot down below. Uhouse is going to take it, but he slides. Here comes Austin Belke underneath to try to get by both of them. 3 wide down the front straightaway. Can Belke clear into 1?
And you can see just how tough it is to drive these cars coming off of the corner. You saw that wiggle out of the number 3 car, and we'll take a peek. We'll ride on board here. You can hear that throttle on and off, really feathering the throttle. The tires are screaming in the background, stretching themselves, scraping themselves across the surface here at Twin Ring Motegi. You can see car looking down on the inside. That's Glessner in the 10 car. Uhouse going to tuck into his tire tracks, try a little crossover action all the way down to the apron. He's going to try and recomplete the pass. Get back around Glessner. Hold on to that spot.
What a great battle between these two. Nice and clean. You got to imagine Uhouse is getting a little frustrated. He feels like he's got the faster car, but he can't quite get around Glessner. Glessner's doing everything he can to hold him off. They've both lost a position to Austin Belke, who is now checked out, and this battle is allowing Zane Farrell to reel these two in and make it a 3-car fight for position number 11. Not too far behind Farrell is Jason Ricker, so he's hoping that these guys race it up a little bit and he can make it a 4-car fight for position here. So some good stuff early on at Twin Ring Motegi. Will complete lap number 18 at the line. It has been Kenny Kibbe out in front the entire way here. He doesn't have much of a lead over Steven Daddio. It's only about a quarter of a second, but those two drivers showing early on why they are the top two in the point standings here with just 2 races remaining in this season.
We saw last night with the RBR Maritime Group Championship finale, Tanton Woldridge, number 56 car, led each and every single one of the 150 laps on the docket last night there at Lanier. Are we about to see the same thing happen here at Twin Ring? Just a little bit less of racing action, 69 laps here at the mile and a halfer. And as we made mention, about 30 seconds a lap here around this kind of a wonky looking shaped oval that we've alluded to here. But right now, Kibbe and Daddio still holding on to a pretty good lead, over a second now over John Peters. He's got a little bit of breathing room in front of and in behind him. Ryan Messer back there in 4th, and it's listed as Zing Marhefka in the 22 car running in P5. The other Marhefka, well, that's going to be Zong Marhefka, and he is back in the 13 car, back in 17th. So the Marhefka's kind of bookending the top 5, top 10 here just a little bit.
Zing Zong, I like that a lot. That's kind of funny. Zing Zong, sing song. You think they're musicians at all?
Well, technically, I mean, if you call race cars an instrument, they make the noises, and maybe
race car harmonics. I like it. I like it a lot. That battle just outside the top 10 that we've been following over the last handful of laps, we've had some quite some change recently. While we were checking in on our top 5, Brandon Newhouse is on the struggle right now. He has dropped a handful of positions. As you can see, the 48 machine of Brian Shipp coming down onto pit road. He is the first car to take a pit stop here, so it'll be interesting to see if he kind of triggers everybody else to start doing the same. But that battle there that we were watching, as I just see him come off of turn number 4, Brandon Newhouse is struggling with that number 3 machine. He has dropped a handful of positions. Jason Ricker is starting to move his way up. He's gained a couple, got around Zane Farrell, got around Newhouse, and is closing in here on Dale Glusner. So some good stuff happening just outside the top 10 here. Ricker now going to look to the outside as they exit turn 2. Not quite there. Falls in line here and will stay with Glusner looking there to the inside in turn 3. No, he's going to hang on. So some good battling going on just outside the top 10 here as we work our way to the completion of lap number 22. Very quickly, Paul, we stay green and we're closing in on the halfway mark. Be right around 34, 35 laps halfway here. So looking at about 12, 13 laps away from the halfway mark. And then if it is green at that point, that is when I think we're going to start to see pit road become pretty busy.
I think things are going to get wild here on pit road earlier than you and I expect. They're going to take a look at the lap times for the 48 of Brian Shipp. Coming down here after about 20 laps on the tires, it's going to be a long run to get to the end of the race here on 40 laps on that same set of tires. But just taking a look, last time by, Kenny Kibbe ran a 38.62 getting around here. That's the leader. His best time, a 37.37, over a full second slower on these 20-lap tires. Brian Shipp in the 48 car, he just came down pit road. He got 4 fresh ones under green, lost a lap, being scored right now in the 24th position. But man, oh man, his lap times, he's going to be making up a lot of ground here. I got a feeling we're going to start seeing some of these drivers see exactly what goes on with that. They're going to want to try and take advantage of those quick times and maybe get some tires on this car.
It makes me wonder, Paul, because he was running outside the top 15 when he made his pit stop. It makes me wonder that with the interval at which he pit at right around lap 20, if he's going to try to split this race into thirds. He has 2 sets of tires on pit road, so is he going to try to pit every 20 laps, and then once he makes his second pit stop right around lap 40, if he's just going to go all out and try to make a big haul through the field? I don't know if that's necessarily going to work out for him too well or not. We'll have to wait and see, or maybe he's just trying to short stint the first set of tires and make the second set here last a little bit longer. But we'll keep an eye on that, as he was the first car to make a green flag pit stop. Nobody else has as of right now, so it looks like it's a bit early for anybody else to follow suit. Well, as soon as I say that, Ryan Messer jumps down onto pit road, so how about that? Shows what I know. I'm better off just announcing. So here comes Ryan Messer. He will work his way onto pit road, and come see his crew for attention for the first time here. This is at lap number 26, so still a little ways prior to the halfway mark. I would assume that this is going to be a 4-tire stop. I would be shocked if it is not. He will come and stop perfectly in that pit box. You can see the right sides are up. Crew is working to get those Goodyear Eagles replaced. Right side drops, and sure enough, the left side goes up for a 4-tire exchange. So this is where we are really going to start to see what happens on pit road, that now that one of our top 5 drivers has made his first stop of the night.
Yeah, and you can bet when these guys, if there is a caution flag later on in the race, they're going to come right back down and try and get some tires. There you see Zane Farrell, they're going to come down. Parent in the 17, Michael Hopkins in the 78 going to come down pit road here as well. So you saw it. Brian Shipp came down pit road. He only had 2, 3, maybe 4 laps or so to really take advantage of the better lap times with those fresher tires. Everybody else saw what was going down, and they said, yeah, we want a piece of that. Here's a good opportunity for the 3-car of U-House to maybe work on the handling of that car just a little bit, or it could very well just be that he needs tires on that thing to get it handling right.
Yeah, we saw how intensely the racing was for U-House and Farrell and Jason Ricker. And U-House was struggling as we got further on with this run, so it doesn't surprise me at all to see him as one of the first cars to jump onto pit road for fresh Goodyear Eagles. He will leave pit road as we speak. And as you see on your screen here, John Peters starting to reel in your second-place runner of Stephen Daddio. Peters looking like he's got some long-run speed. He may have done a better job of conserving his tires than what Daddio did, and he is tucked up right on the back bumper, coming down the front straightaway. Does he have a run going into turn number 1? Daddio enters a little bit higher, opens up that bottom lane for Peters, but Peters not able to execute on that just yet. He's going to get the run through the center of the corner, closing in, but he won't be able to make the pass just yet. He'll have to wait for another opportunity as we see some more cars dive their way down onto pit road.
John Peters having a slow start to the season and didn't quite get up. Made it to the top 5 in points. Not able to really challenge for the championship here in the final 2 races. Has 2 opportunities, though, to end the season on a high note with a victory here at Twin Ring Motegi or next week at Dover for the 100-miler. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. Be sure to tune in live here at Verdane TV. We'll catch all that championship action. Crowned a champion last night with the RBR Maritime Group. Crowning a couple of champions next week. Tuesday night, the Liberty Racing League Final 4 playoff race. That is going to be a blast. NEP, we're going to be settling that championship officially next Thursday night here at Dover, and that gives us another week to use that promo code CHAMP25, no S in that. 25% off over at Verdane.net, the official merchandise virtual hauler of Verdane TV. CHAMP25, 25% off at the checkout. And that's going to be going all the way through April 1st. Gives us a little bit of reason to celebrate these championship drivers here this week and that.
Certainly a very big week of racing, big 2 weeks of racing here on Verdane TV. As we close out to the winter and spring season, the weather starting to get a little bit nicer. Of course, we make mention all the time, Paul, that a lot of our racers here on Verdane TV are real-world racers as well, and that could not be any more accurate than when it comes to this league. So many of these guys, real-world racers, whether it's in modifieds or late models, and I know some of them are even around your area, too, the Stafford Motor Speedway, calling that racetrack home for a good portion of them. So I'm sure this has to be a fun league for you to watch on that aspect as well. Not only just because we've been with these guys for a handful of seasons, we know them pretty well, but you get to see some of these guys in person racing at that wonderful short track up there in Connecticut.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to share the garage area with a lot of these drivers, crew chiefs and spotters, everybody else that's been to and from the racetrack. John Peters moving on into second place there. Ryan Messer is on rails. He's got those new tires, and he's trying to get his lap back the hard way. That first car, 1 lap down. You can see he's got his sights set there on Kenny Kibbe, the current leader. He's going to try and get around him here before the tires start to wear back off on that 1 car. But you're exactly right. Being able to go to Stafford Motor Speedway, kind of wrench on the cars a little bit with the Rent a Race Car crew, and just kind of watch how the personalities from the iRacing world kind of mold themselves into the real racing and vice versa. There you see Messer going down underneath Kibbe to get his lap back the hard way. And he's going to try and get around this racetrack one more time. And he's hoping for a caution here at this point, because that's going to be a good way to get a little bit of track position. But being able to kind of bridge that gap between real racing and the sim racing aspect sort of things. You see these race cars on the virtual screen right now, very, very similar to that of the race cars that they drive in real life. So it's always kind of cool to have that little bit of feather in the cap, as it were.
You made a mention right there, Paul, that Ryan Messer able to make the move around Kenny Kibbe to get back on the lead lap the traditional way, and that could play very, very beneficial for him. If we get a caution flag in the middle of this green flag cycle, it's definitely better to be on the lead lap than off of it. And here comes Kenny Kibbe now. He will duck down onto pit road. He's going to bring John Peters with him, so two of your top three making green flag pit stops here on lap number 34, virtually right at the halfway mark. So that makes me believe here, Paul, that these two guys are going to attack this as a one-stop race. They're going to come down now, they're going to get their tires, they're going to reassess their situation mentally, they're going to look at what they just did that first run, see if they can make any adjustments, and try to make this second run a little bit better for those rubbers underneath of them. Right sides are up on both machines. You know it's going to be a four-tire stop. You're going to wait and see here to see who comes out in front of who. Kibbe came in first. John Peters gets to his box first based off of qualifying. He's going to leave first. Kibbe will exit as well, and it looks like Kenny Kibbe will exit pit road just in front of John Peters exactly as they came on. So they have to be careful here riding the apron before they can safely merge back onto the racing surface. And for the moment, that is going to put the 26 machine of Brent Roy in the race lead. He's got Zane Farrell trying to unlap himself on fresh tires to his outside. The Flow Racing number 26 Toyota Supra out in front of this one here just beyond the halfway mark at Twin Ring Motegi.
Daddy on the 99 going to give up the lead. He's going to come down pit road. The 22 of Marhefka, the 13 of Marhefka. They're both going to come down pit road as well. Jeff McConey and the number 16 subbing for Dylan Kopeck here this evening, making his NEP debut. There you see the Japanese-Canadian, the 26 car, the Camry kid, Brent Roy, going to give up his lead and come down here on pit road and get some service to him. Ryan Salvatore going to hold on to the lead now in that RSAL TV number 12. And this is one of the cool things that we can kind of put together here with the basic math, hitting at the halfway marker. These drivers that are coming down here on lap number 35, 36, even 37 and beyond, they've run those laps on that set of tires. They know exactly how that car's going to handle. Granted, we didn't really see any too much aggressive racing, but at least at this point, these drivers now know how the car is going to react after a 30, 35 lap run. That's going to be a big factor getting in to the end of this race, especially once we get down to about 10, 15 laps to go. You can see Jason Ricker in the 9 car trying to make a run for the money, closing in on the leader right now. Ryan Salvatore holding on to it.
Both of these drivers still yet to make green flag pit stops themselves. They are trying to extend this run and maybe catch a break, maybe get a caution flag and jump ahead of some of these guys that just came off of pit road. Now, you don't necessarily know exactly how everybody's going to treat it. Some of these guys that just pit, maybe they decide to stay out and stick with the rubbers that they're on. Maybe some of the guys that pit towards the beginning of the run, they decide to take that second set of tires if we were to get a yellow flag. You don't really know how it's going to work out until it actually happens. But it's kind of interesting to see the strategy play by Ryan Salvatore and Jason Ricker. I think more so by Salvatore because he was running just outside the top 5 towards the front of the field before green flag pit cycles happened. Typically, you see the guys that try to stretch these runs long than what the leaders do. They're typically the guys that run towards the back, that are looking for a substantial jump in track position. Not necessarily the case here with Ryan Salvatore, being that he was just outside the top 10. So it'll be fun to see when these guys decide to pit and where everything is going to shake out once it is all finished. But I can tell you right now, Paul, with a few cars left to go, Ryan Messer is out in front of Kenny Kibbe, John Peters, and Steven Daddio. We remember that Messer was the first car inside the top 5 to make the pit stop first, and he is roughly 2 seconds out in front of Kenny Kibbe right now that they've cycled out.
And you can see everybody on different strategies throughout the field. Some of the drivers kind of going backwards, some drivers heading forward. Scott McDonald going to give up the top 5. He's going to come down pit road, and he's going to get a little bit of service, get some tires on in this one here, working lap number 40. Jason Ricker taking a shot down on the bottom side, gets around the number 12 car for the lead. Jason Ricker to the point. Ryan Salvatore down to pit road, coming in a little bit hot. Has to get the tires to lock up just a little bit, but Salvatore going to get some tires on that machine. You can see Scott McDonald in the 44 is pulling away as Salvatore comes down.
That moves Austin Belke in the 24 car up to the runner-up position, just about 2 seconds behind Jason Ricker's number 9 machine. Lap number 41 will be completed when they hit the stripe this time by. So we are closing in on 2/3 of the way through this event. You can see Ryan Messer here, who we believe may be he will be the leader of the race once this all cycles out. Jason Ricker, he's coming to pit road now, so that will leave Austin Belke as the last car to pit here. Whoa, big slide off of turn number 4 for the 78 machine of Michael Hopkins. He's able to hang on and keep it pointed straight, but that was a close call there. Almost exactly what Austin Belke wanted to see, because now that he's the last car to make the green flag pit stop, if he gets a caution flag here, he gets to pit with all the leaders and keep this track position. I would think at this point for most of these guys, if we did get that yellow flag, they would come down onto pit road and get that second set of tires. So if that is going to happen for Belke, he's going to have to hope that it happens here very, very soon. We'll see if he's going to make the dive onto pit road this time. It looks like he is, and he will. So Austin Belke, the final car to make a green flag pit stop, will do so, and that will put the lead in the hands of Ryan Messer once we cycle things out. But don't look too far back here, Paul. John Peters has already closed that gap, and he's gotten around Kenny Kibbe. So he will be second place around Kenny Kibbe, and they are closing in on that 2-second gap that Messer had just a few laps ago.
And we mentioned it a little bit ago. Ryan Messer, the first driver to come down pit road a few laps before everybody else. He's got those older tires, and you can see just how much it's affecting the handling and the speed of that car. The 09 and the 4, they are hooked up. They've been bumper to bumper all race long. They've swapped who's in front, who's in the back a couple of times, but they are starting to reel in Ryan Messer here at this point. You can bet these guys would love to have a caution flag come down, get that other set of tires that's down there on pit road, but you don't want to try and give up that track position under green flag here at this 1.5 miles. You can see starting to close in now, half a second back from Messer. Peters and Kibbe, they're reeling in the leader.
Yeah, you're seeing very clearly here the difference in the strategy. By Ryan Messer pitting before John Peters and Kenny Kibbe, he is able to start his second tire run on faster tires than what Kibbe and Peters were on while they were still out on the track. So he has an advantage early on in the run. The problem is that his tires are going to wear faster than John Peters and Kenny Kibbe's tires. And that's what you're seeing right here. By pitting later on, their tires are fresher than Ryan Messer's at this point in the run, and that's why John Peters and Kenny Kibbe are running down Ryan Messer right now. Now, eventually, they'll probably start to see an even off where everybody's kind of at the same wear length, depending on how hard they're running, what lines they're running, and traffic conditions around them, around the racetrack. But as you can see right now, very clearly the advantage is with John Peters and Kenny Kibbe. How about 3 wide for a quick moment there in the center of 3 and 4? Messer has no choice but to surrender both of those spots. Kenny Kibbe wanted to get aggressive there, move John Peters into the race lead. Kenny Kibbe goes to second. Ryan Messer drops back to third, and Steven Daddio slowly closing in the 99 in fourth.
And we've talked to Kibbe over the past couple of weeks here live on Verdane TV throughout the races and at the end of the races on the podium, the Turn 4 podcast post-race show. Cool, calm, and collected here, getting in to the end of the season, the last handful of races or so. Really all he's got to do to win the championship with that 33-point lead coming into tonight, have a couple of good races, pair of good races, finish in the top 10, and you'll know you'll kind of hold on to that championship trophy at the end of the season. But right now, Kenny Kibbe showing exactly why he is championship caliber. He is trying to chase down last season's champion, the season's champion before that, the season champion before that, 3-time reigning and defending NEP champion 09 car of John Peters leading this race. Kenny Kibbe not only wants to beat him in the championship, he wants to beat him on the racetrack here at Twin Motegi as well.
He's going to take a peek to the inside here, entering turn number 3, gets the dive right down to the white line, throttles up through the center, and he is even with the 3-time series champ here coming off of turn 4. A slight slide for the 09 as they exit. Coming across the line, Peters has the spot at the start-finish. What will Kenny Kibbe do down here in turns number 1 and 2 as you ride on board? You can see getting right down on... Oh, we have a caution! Caution flag flies on lap 48, and this is going to throw a monkey wrench into things here, Paul. Quickly scanning the racetrack to find the issue. It is with the 01 machine of Charles Lewandowski. Looks like the Shalu Performance number 01 loses it on his own out of turn number 4. You see it right there, almost almost makes contact with the pit end there, hits the inside wall, and we have caution flag for the first time, Paul, with just over 20 laps to go. This is going to get a little entertaining now.
Yeah, clean racing all evening long, and you can kind of attest that to just how hard it is to get around this racetrack. These drivers doing a great job, really focusing, concentrating on the task at hand, really making sure that they've got all four rubbers on the ground. The pace car going to gather up the field. Peters, reigning three-time defending champion, up in the lead. Kenny Kibbe, he's got to have himself a good couple of weeks. He could potentially leave here tonight with that championship trophy locked in, and all he's got to do next week is show up. Steve Daddio in third on the racetrack, second in points, 33 markers back earlier on. How about Ryan Messer in fourth? This caution flag couldn't have come out for a better time for him. Those tires that he came down and got earlier on really starting to wear. You saw the 4 and the 09 were able to drive around the 99 and the 1 car with no issues. So this is going to give an opportunity for these guys to all come down, maybe get 4 tires, get a little bit more fuel in that thing for the weight distribution in the back of the race car. And, a little bit of trickery here up front. 4 car almost misses the commitment cone, but everybody's going to come down and get some tires. Zane Farrell just stayed out.
That was a close call there for Kenny Kibbe. I thought he was about to have a meeting there with the end of pit wall that Charles Lewandowski barely missed. So your front runners coming down. I would assume they're going to take that last set of tires here and go all out for this final stint to the finish. We'll keep things locked here on pit exit to see who is going to win the race off. Remember, John Peters was the first car to come on down pit road. Right sides going on for everybody. Now the left sides. Ooh, maybe some strategy out of the 22 machine here. He's going to try to beat John Peters out. Can he do it? He does. So put Marhefka out in front of John Peters. Then you got Kenny Kibbe in third, Stephen Daddio fourth, and Ryan Messer, the top 5 coming off of pit road. Take a quick little rewind here to see exactly what Marhefka did. And yeah, it looks like it was right side tires only for the 22 machine. He's going to throw a little bit of strategy into the mix here and see what he can do on only 2 tires fresh.
The 4 drivers stayed out. Zane Farrell, Ryan Salvatore, the B-Stick, Reggie Perrin, and Austin Belke all still out on track. Marhefka in the 22 came down with 2 tires, and everybody on and behind, led by John Peters. 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel. 20 laps to go. Looks like we're going to get the restart here with maybe 18 or so to go here. Seen some great aggressive racing all evening long. You see the 44 McDonald going to come down, and he's going to get some service on his machine, or check that. That's the 04 coming down pit road. Scott McDonald up there right behind the pace car. He's going to get that lucky dog free pass car, get back onto the lead lap. And with this unique racing surface, 20 laps to go, less than 20 laps to go. With that lucky dog, we're going to have 21 cars on the lead lap. Kind of a testament to these NEP drivers.
Yeah, with this track being as big and as wide as it is, not really a ton of guys lost lead laps there, even though we did go green for 48 of the 69 laps in this event. So going to be really interesting to see what happens here. Once we go back to green flag, we have all kinds of different strategies. You got 4 good drivers that decided to stay out. Your 5th place car is on right side tires only, and 6th on back on 4 fresh tires moving forward. So if we were to get the 1 to go this time by, that would put us restarting at the completion of lap number 52. So that's 17 laps. It's quite a long ways for these guys to make things work. But if there's one thing that's working in favor of guys like Ryan Salvatore and Austin Belke, they were 2 of the last cars to make pit stops during that green flag cycle. So their tires may not be as in bad of shape as what we're thinking. Of course, the guys that just came out of pit road, they're going to have the advantage no matter what. But if they can do damage control for the opening laps of this run, maybe kind of allow those tires to even out a little bit, they might have an opportunity to steal a good finish here.
You and I have called a lot of races over the 3 years' existence here at Verdane TV. You and I both know that cautions always breed cautions. Maybe that's something that Farrell and Salvatore, Parent, Belke, they're all hoping for. They hope that we get a couple of quick cautions here. Give these guys an opportunity once again to get some of the heat out of the tires. You can see Farrell doing everything he can to get those tires scrubbed back down. He's going to try and get himself a restart of a lifetime. Don't want to call it a dismal season for the 14 car, but not really turning as many heads as we've seen him in the past. He's going to try and hold on here, getting the restart. 17 laps to go. The 14 car holding on to the point. The 12 is Salvatore. Salvatore on the outside. Barrett, Belke, and Marhefka, the first driver with 4 tires. John Peters back there in 6th. Kyle, this is going to be wild.
This is going to be very fun. The aggression meter will certainly be pegged now that we're down into the closing stages of the race. The guys that are on fresh tires, they are going to be a little extra aggressive as well because they feel like they've got the right to be in front of all these guys that are either on 2 tires or no tires from the previous run. So going to be a fun one to watch. Hopefully it doesn't get too chaotic, but I think we're about to see how wide this racetrack can really get. We didn't really see a whole lot of outer groove moves being able to work, but maybe now that we've got some tire strategy into play here, we can see what this racetrack has for these guys as a multi-groove track. So here we go. 17 laps to go will be the run down here. We've got Farrell and Salvatore on the front row, Parent and Belke row 2. Green flag fires, and look at that, you see it immediately. Salvatore and Parent, they spin the tires trying to get going. That's that older worn out rubber. They weren't able to get as much grip. Marhefka looking to the inside, nearly 4 wide there, but they will stay at just 3 wide. John Peters closing up rapidly on the back bumper of Ryan Salvatore. He's boxed in as Regan Parent is down below. They make contact. They keep it pointed. Jeff McConey is sideways off of turn 2. We are all out here at Twin Ring Motegi.
Setting them up on the dashboard and letting everybody know they all want to win this race. The 09 car finally down on the bottom side, able to get around the number 12 of Ryan Salvatore. Ryan Messer down on his inside now in that number 1 car. He's trying to get back into the top 5. And oh, by the way, Zan Farrell, well, he did drive away just a little bit. Austin Belke, though, able to close back up into his tire tracks, kind of using that middle groove there. The 2 tires of the 22 down on the bottom side, but the 4 tires that Kibby's got on his 4 machine is up on the top side. Everybody trying to get up to that 14 car.
Kibby drops down to the inside, looking for second underneath of Belke. Belke looking for the race lead under Farrell, 3 wide for a moment, but Belke backs out. That opens up the bottom for Kenny Kibby. He easily gets around Zane Farrell, and now they're 3 wide for second. Marhefka and Belke get on through. Farrell drops like a rock coming off of turn 4. He's going to go from the race lead to about 6th in the blink of an eye. 15 laps to go and 4 fresh tires on the 4 of Kenny Kibby out in front. Did not take him long at all to maneuver through the field.
He's got a little bit of a gap in behind him. Back to the 22 car. You can see struggling with that 2-tire stop, but here comes Peters in the 09 car, the other cat that's got 4 tires on that ride. He's side by side right now underneath Belke in the 24 car. Made mention with the late pit stop, but he's going to get a little bit of a push there from Ryan Messer, just enough to boot him on up into that 3rd position. The 09 car to 3rd. Ryan Messer going to try and follow him back through. He's down on the bottom side of the 24 car of Belke.
Messer will continue on that inside charge to try to take position number 4 away from the 24 of Belke. Messer slides just a little bit. He opens up the bottom for Steven Daddio behind on exit, but Daddio can't do anything with it. Now he looks underneath of Messer going down the back straightaway. Does he have the run? Not quite. What about the dive? He's going to try to drive it in underneath of him. Messer drives it in harder. He slides. Daddio slides up right behind him. They may make just a slight little bit of contact, front to back bumpers, but all clean and green as they come off of turn number 4. Good, hard, competitive racing here at Twin Ring Motegi. You're seeing the guys on fresh rubber. They are getting a little bit more aggressive than some of these guys that stayed out and are not on fresher tires, trying to make the most of it here in this late going. Very impressed with the 22 of Marhefka. He is in 2nd place, and he is not falling off of Kenny Kibby by much at all. Maybe makes you wonder if Kibby's trying to save something here. As Steven Daddio looks to the inside of Messer. Peters looking to the inside of Marhefka. He falls back in line. Good racing throughout the top 5.
Guys, know we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. 13 laps to go, 12 once they cross the stripe. You can throw a blanket over those top 3 drivers. 4 tires for the 4, 2 tires for the 22, 4 tires on the 09. Peter's going to take a look down a low. You can see he can get all the way down to the white line down on the apron, trying to take the shortest way around this racetrack. But the 22 car, even with those 2 tires, is super powerful. Little bit of a slide there from the 4 car at Kibby in the back end of that thing. He's able to hold on to it, though. Heading on down into 3 and 4, looking mighty strong in that 4 car. Can he hold off the 22 and the 09?
Steven Daddio has made his way around Ryan Messer for position number 4 and has put a few car lengths in between him and the 1 machine. How about Evan Bollier in that 56 car? We haven't made much mention of him tonight. He is just outside the top 5 in position number 6, trying to reel in Ryan Messer for a top 5 effort here. And the caution flag is out once again. We have our second caution flag of the evening. More trouble on the front stretch, and it involves one of the drivers that stayed out under that last caution flag, the 17 of Regan Parent. Looks like he got sideways coming off of turn number 4, saw the outside wall, and then spins down to the end. Oh no, he just barely missed that outside wall, but he does spin down to the inside of the racetrack, brings out the caution flag, and that is going to ratchet things up just a little bit here, Paul, as we'll send things on over to you with the YRD Designs Instant Replay.
Yeah, we'll back up the tapes and take a peek. Sorry, folks, I struggle with the English language sometimes. And see exactly why it is we're under caution. There you can see the 17 car. This is a tough racetrack to get around. Big time slide. Tries to correct it. Gets a little bit wonky. The 48 car ship gives him a little bit of a tag. Down into the Coca-Cola sign. Crossing the start-finish line. I give him a solid A for style.
Man, big pucker moment there for Brian Shipp in the 48, seeing that 17 car spin right across his nose. Minimal contact, if any, there for either of the walls with Regan Parent. He does have some damage, some from some previous incidents, but not at all how he wanted to spend his evening with less than 10 laps to go now. He'll have an opportunity to throw some fresh rubber on that car, but being at the back of the pack, he's going to have to make some quick work if he is going to have any type of finish worth bragging about. So, Kenny Kibbe out in front of this one. He is trying to do what he can to walk his way towards a championship next week at the Monster Mile Dover Motor Speedway. And Paul, the tale of two different tapes right there. Two racetracks in a row that are very challenging, very technical for these drivers, but in very, very different ways. Dover, a very fast, high-banked 1 mile oval, concrete oval. Another one of those tracks that really chews up tires over the long run. And we know that Miles the Monster, he's always a threat to snatch some race cars for a midnight snack, whether it's on the iRacing service or during the real-world competition. Should be a very entertaining season finale, whether we have a close points championship to watch or not. I know these guys have ended their season at Dover in the past. They've clearly liked something about that racetrack, and I think that it's kind of fitting, right? This is a league based off of a lot of drivers, racers, mechanics, race fans based off of the Northeast. I think New Hampshire is probably closer to them for their local track, but Dover's a very close second, being down there in the mid portions of Delaware as well. So for them to be able to end their season at one of their local big-time NASCAR tracks, probably a cool and fitting way for them to do so.
And that's one of the other neat things, too, here. We've kind of alluded that here at Verdane TV, we kind of like to bridge the gap between real racing and sim racing. One of the coolest things for me after watching and calling and producing all these shows here on the iRacing service is basically seeing what the racetrack looks like through the iRacing simulation, and then going out to the racetrack and seeing how accurate, how close it is, especially Stafford Motor Speedway. You can hop in the street stocks and the late models, and they don't quite feel like what they run at Stafford Motor Speedway, but the visuals, the visualizations on the racetrack are absolutely on point. I remember way back, stepping in that Wayback Machine. The very first time I got in a street stock with the Renner Race Car crew at Stafford Motor Speedway, this is back in August of 2011, I actually reached out to some of the guys that are in this league that have run at Stafford Motor Speedway and said, hey, listen, I'm jumping in a race car for the first time. You think we could hop on iRacing and get a little pointers? Give me a couple of pointers. Let me know what I should do, what I shouldn't do, this, that, and the other thing. And it worked out really well. It was funny going into the racetrack. Gary Spinato Jr., owner of Renner Race Car, kind of met up with him, walked me through everything, got me in the car, and his father comes over, Gary Spinato Sr., says, oh, no, we got another iRacer coming on in. But it was cool to be able to get out there and say, hey, listen, I've got my level head, I'm ready to rock and roll, want to get out there, want to have some fun. Got all through that day, didn't spin the car one time.
It's truly an amazing experience. That is one thing that I don't care who you are, what your situation is, where you live. If you are a race fan, I sincerely hope that you are able to experience the sensation, the enjoyment, and the thrill ride that is driving a race car around a racetrack. I've been fortunate enough to run a few years of racing at local dirt tracks back when I was living up in New York. haven't done anything in a year and a half or so myself, but I'm telling you, Paul, it is one of the most amazing. It is the most amazing experience that I have ever had in my entire life. Nothing compares to it, and it really is something that every race fan should be able to experience at one point or another in their life. I'm glad that you've had the opportunity to do so. I know that you have plans to do that again with the Rent a Race Car Guys here later on this year. I'll be very excited to hear how that goes, and just another reason for all of us to be excited for the motorsports calendar coming up here now that springtime is officially here.
Yeah, nice and warm outside here at Verdane HQ, and man, oh man, I am giddy like a schoolgirl with the my ride coming up here in July 14th. I'm going to be in the number 6 car, sponsored by Verdane TV at Stafford Motor Speedway. That date might sound familiar. That is the day after Thursday Night Thunder makes its return, the SRX Series at Stafford Motor Speedway. I don't have to go through the list of names. You all know who's going to be there. You all know who I'm going to be sharing a racetrack in a garage area with that weekend. Giddy like a schoolgirl. Cannot wait to get out to Stafford Motor Speedway. And oh, by the way, that Saturday, Sunday, we're shipping on up to New Hampshire to check out the Loudon race. Some modified racing, Xfinity, and Cup cars. A little bit of racing to do here. The pace car going down to pit road, 2x2, 7 laps to go. Kenny Kibbe says he wants to cash that check, wants to win this race.
We've got chaos in the back of the field, Paul. A couple drivers spinning their tires, and it has erupted in carnage. Regan Parent is involved with it once again. I saw a handful of other cars. I believe the 44 of Scott McDonald also got a piece of it. A few other drivers crashing and finding the wall and each other in the back half of the field. It all started, it looks like, initially with the 13 machine of Brendan Marhefka. I think he was the first car to spin his tires, and everybody kind of reacted after that, and it erupted from there.
We made mention earlier on cautions breed cautions, and it's really one of those opportunities where these drivers just haven't really had a way to practice these restarts because we've been clean and green for so long through it. Now less than 5 laps to go. Now that we've got this caution, we'll take a peek here from the US Racing Designs blimp. There you see it right on the restart. A lot of drivers spinning their tires, trying to find a way to avoid calamity. 13 car gets tagged by the 29. Farrell able to get by. The 48 car just back on the lead lap. He gets a little bit of a smash on the front of his car. And man, oh man, we get to re-rack them, restack them once again with 5 laps to go. Gonna get that restart with maybe 3, maybe even 2 laps.
Yeah, this is going to set up an even shorter dash to the finish. And you saw the guys trying to be a little aggressive there. They're going to be even more aggressive now that they have fewer laps to work with for the finish of this race. And, of course, that only plays into the hands of Kenny Kibbe. Less laps that he has to worry about defending that race lead, trying to stay out in front here. He's been the most dominant car of the night, leading the majority of that opening run. He didn't take him long to get him back to the front of the field after the green flag pit cycle, and now he is going to have to see what he has on short run pace to hold off Devin Marhefka, John Peters, Stephen Daddio, and Evan Bollier behind. So, yeah, what a turn this race has taken. Long green flag run to start. Now we get a couple cautions. We're going to have a short shootout to the finish. Should be very entertaining. Hopefully we can get through the restart this time and we can see what happens here, because I'm very impressed with what Devin Marhefka has been able to do in that 22 machine on just right side tires. He's certainly at a disadvantage being surrounded by drivers who are on 4 fresh tires, but for only taking 2, he's definitely shown some strength here. And who knows, maybe he could pull off the upset here and steal this one away from Kenny Kibbe late in the going.
Qualified outside the top 5, and this is probably the best thing that could have happened to get those tires cooled back off once again all the way across those 4 tires. Going to be about the same temperatures as everybody else, but we've alluded to it a couple of times. Everybody else around him already has 4 fresh tires under that last pit stop when they came down. Had a couple of takers come down. The 17 came down to beat some of the virtual sheet metal. Spencer Davis, and the 29 car had some virtual damage as well to get that sorted out. Those guys got some tires on. It'll be fun to see if they can maybe make kind of a late race climb through the field. Going to restart here with 21 cars still on the lead lap. iRacing pace car lights still have the lights on it, so we got a lap or 2 before we get the green flag.
Yeah, and because the lights are still on the pace car right here, we will see this race go into overtime. The earliest that we could get this race restarted would be at the completion of lap number 68. That would obviously only leave us with one lap left. Or actually, no, scratch that. Race officials have just shortened the caution, and we are going to go green this time by. So we will still have a green-white checkered finish, but it's going to happen in regulation this first time. So we are not in overtime just yet. 2-lap shootout to figure it out. The field quickly doubles up on the back straightaway, and we are set to go here, Paul. Kenny Kibbe, Devin Marhefka on row 1, John Peters and Steven Daddio, row 2, Evan Bullier, Ryan Messer in row 3. You got Jeff McConey and Jason Ricker in row 4, and completing your top 10 is the 3 of Brandon Newhouse and the 26 of Brent Roy.
NEP officials advertised a 69-lap race. By God, we're going to get a 69-lap race. Nice. You can see the 22 car warming up the tires one final time. Going to see what he can do on the outside. The 4 car of Kibbe, though, has been a monster on restarts all season long, making him wait for it. Wait for it. Green flag flies. Kibbe finally gone. It is a hornet's nest in behind.
Fan out wide coming down the front straightaway. Kibbe's got the advantage. Here comes John Peters underneath for position number 2. He's got a nose out in front of Devin Marhefka. Marhefka trying to close, but the caution flag comes out very quickly. And now we will go into overtime here at the Twin Ring Motegi Oval. Trying to see exactly what happened here to cause this caution flag. I don't know exactly what it was just yet. Oh, it was the 9 machine of Jason Ricker. Jason Ricker got spun sideways just behind your race leaders as they entered turn number 1. It looks like he may have been able to quickly get pointed in the right direction, and yeah, he did. Jeff McConey got into that left front and straightened him out, but it was not quick enough before the caution flag came out. We take a look at it here on the YRD Designs Instant Replay, and yeah, Jeff McConey just sliding up into the left rear corner panel of Jason Ricker, hits him in the left front. Ricker slides on the apron, he gets it pointed, he saves it, but iRacing decided to throw the caution anyway. So, unfortunately, we are back under the yellow flag. This will force us into overtime, where we will have 2 attempts at a overtime green-white checkered finish. Not exactly how we wanted to see this one end off, but it is at least creating some late race drama. That is for sure. And the big thing to note there, it was a quick little squirt of green flag racing, but it was still enough for John Peters to get himself into position number 2. He'll now line up on the outside of row number 1 instead of on the inside of row number 2 for this upcoming restart.
One for the highlight reel indeed. That's going to be something we might have RSal TV make us a little highlight package for some of the close calls we've seen here at Twin Ring Motegi. Be sure to get up with Ryan Salvatore over on the YouTube page, RSal TV. Quick search pops right up, just like us at Vidane TV. Want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight live. Not all over the place. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. Having some issues with Facebook. We have indeed reached out to them to try and get that all sorted out. But the folks out there watching on YouTube for potentially the very first time, let us know what you think. Is it better than Facebook? Is it something where maybe we should just stick to all 3 services? Or how do you like the YouTube? What works for you? And what should we do as we kind of back up just a little bit? We made mention, a couple of championships, 3 of them to be exact, that we're going to be handing out this week and next week between NEP, RBR, and Liberty Racing. And then we're going to be kind of taking a little bit of a step back from the iRacing world. Kyle, you and I both going to be focusing on the real racing stuff. You with the Dr. Race Chaser, me still with Vidane TV. We've got some cool things that we're going to be announcing over the next couple of weeks. So be sure to get over to the socials and take a peek at that. But wanted to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight. Still have that opportunity to jump on over to Vidane.net, grab yourself a Vidane TV sweatshirt, a Rent a Race Car t-shirt, all sorts of cool stuff. Angry Tree Guy, Liberty Racing, there's hats, there's stickers, all sorts of merchandise. Use promo code CHAMP25, CHAMP25 for 25% off at checkout. And these guys, they're getting ready to get checked out. Gonna get one more lap around this place before we shut the car. Nope, just kidding. We're gonna shut those strobes off right now. We're gonna line them up 2 by 2. A little overtime here at Japan at Twin Ring Motegi.
So not a whole lot changed there in the running order. We made mention that John Peters was able to get around Devin Marhefka for second place. Looking through the field here, row 3 still the same with Bollier and Messer, Jeff McConey 7th. Brent Roy was able to get himself up to position number 8 there on that quick stint. How about Adam Henry in the 62 car? That's the first time we've mentioned his name tonight. He has squeaked his way into the top 10 late in the going here, looking for a solid finish, and he will have Ryan Salvatore to his outside in car number 12. So this is the first attempt at an overtime finish, green, white checker, NASCAR style rules. With iRacing, this is how it works. If we get to the white flag before the caution flag comes out, we will race it to the end. It doesn't matter if everybody and their mother flips on the final lap, the caution flag will not come out. We'll race to the checkered. But if the caution flag does fly on the first lap of this restart, we will rack them up and give it one more go for our second and final attempt. We'll see how it goes here. Pace car going to duck down onto pit road. Kenny Kibbe, John Peters lead the field to our first overtime restart of the evening. Can we make it all the way? They enter the restart zone. Kibbe is on the loud pedal, green flag start, and he gets a great jump right off the bat.
22 cars taking the green flag here on the lead lap. Kibbe going all the way up high, going to drive down into the corner. Look at the run he's able to get, but the 09 car saw exactly what he was doing. He's going to fall into the tire track, set that bumper up, and try and get to the number 4 car. Marhefka still holding strong down in the bottom side. The 22 car wants to take this thing to victory lane. Bollier down in the 56, sliding all over it. Oh, by the way, Taddio's still there, coming into 3 and 4 for the second to last time. Kibbe holding on to him, and they are all over the place in the back.
Chaos has broken out. The 26 has spun. The 12 has spun. Heavy damage for multiple drivers. The caution flag has flown, so this race is not over yet. Brent Roy was the first car that I saw get spun around there in the middle of the field. Brandon Newhouse is involved. Jason Ricker, Dale Glessner, Austin Belke. It's the Japanese version of the big one here at Twin Ring Motegi on our first overtime restart attempt.
We'll back up to U-House Racing Design's instant replay to get a piece, to get a look of the action. We came so close to getting this thing wrapped up with the white flag, almost ready to rock and roll, but Barney up in the flag stand through the yellow one here, and this is exactly why. Take a peek from the YRD blimp. You can see single file up towards the front. There's the massive move from Bollier trying to make himself up a little bit further in the field, and there you can see there's the tap, 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 and everybody involved getting a little piece of the action. Belke up in there. The 12 car of Salvatore gets a couple of tags hard into the outside wall. Gives these guys one more opportunity here, Kyle, to re-rack, restack, and get going once again. This is going to be a heck of a restart.
Yeah, some big impacts there. Looks like poor corner entry for both Brent Roy and Ryan Salvatore. Looks like Roy just... Well, really, they both kind of washed up. I think Roy kind of checked up in the center of the corner to get that car pointed back down on the bottom, and Ryan Salvatore kind of overshot himself and really couldn't stay off of the 26 machine. You saw Jeff McConey there in the 16. He made a late move to the inside of Brent Roy going into turn number 3, and maybe that kind of threw Roy off of his psyche a little bit. You see he dives it in there. Roy's got to give him the space. Salvatore kind of overshoots turn number 3, gets into the left rear, and it's all calamity from there with some cars getting checked up right behind and making some impacts there. So tough break there for Brent Roy. He was inside the top 10 looking for a solid finish here tonight. Unfortunately, he is going to have to get to pit road to fold out some creases in those fenders and see what he can salvage here on this final green-white checkered attempt. And that's a little disappointing for the front runners too, because I think John Peters had a really good opportunity at challenging for that race lead. Kibbe schooled him on the restart. He was able to get clear, but Peters did a really good job through turns 1 and 2 and going down the back straightaway to stay right on that back bumper. He wasn't able to make a move in 3 and 4, but he did still have one last lap opportunity to make something happen. So if you're John Peters here, Paul, I would think that you got to pay attention to that restart. Kibbe absolutely launched way better than John did. You got to try to find a way to be better than that. Maybe you stay side by side with him. Maybe you just try to stay closer to the back bumper as you go through 1 and 2 to make that move a little easier coming down into turns 3 and 4. 4. So going to be interesting to see what happens here. Lights are off on the pace car. We're going to give it one last college try here at Twin Ring Motegi. We'll take you through the top 10 after that incident kind of shook some things up. It is still Kenny Kibbe and John Peters on the front row, Devin Marhefka and Steven Daddio in row number 2. Evan Bollier is 5th, Ryan Messer in 6th, Jeff McConey 7th, Zane Farrell is back up to position number 8. How about that? Senpai Michael Hopkins is in 9th, and Adam Henry completes the top 10 in car number 62. We still have 22 cars on the lead lap. Anything can happen here, Paul, but this will be the last attempt. If we get the caution flag on this green, white, checkered attempt, the race will be over. If we go to the white flag, they will race it out to the checkered, and we will cross the start-finish line the way the racing gods intended it to end.
Checkers and or wreckers. If you're the 4 car, if you're the 09, if you're the 99, if you're the 22, if you're any of these guys up in the top 5, top 10, you know there's only one more race left in the season. You've got to take this opportunity to try and get a marker in that W column. Kibbe's done it a couple of times this season, as has the 09 car. The 09, he wants to win this race because he knows he's not going to be able to take a 4th championship in a row. And there you see Kenny Kibbe down on the bottom side, master of the restarts, making him wait for it. Once again, the pace car is gone, but you can see there he is, firing it off on all cylinders, pulling away 0.2 of a second, heading on down into turn number 1.
Another great launch for Kenny Kibbe. Now Devin Marhefka is on the attack of John Peters like John was on for him on the previous one. Remember, Marhefka is only on 2 tires here. He pushes tight, and that's going to allow Peters to drive away. He will escape. Devin Marhefka going down the back straightaway. Side-by-side battle between Daddio and Messer for 4th.
Daddio down on the bottom side. He's going to get the door slammed. The 22 car, Marhefka doing fantastic with those 2 tires. Ryan Messer slides up the racetrack, opens the door down on the bottom side. The 16 going to try and dip himself in. The 1 car, big wiggle out front, but white flag, a white rag coming on out. You can see Kibbe doing everything he can to set it into 1 and 2. John Peters is going to have one more opportunity here, Kyle. Ain't it 3 and 4 to try and come home with this victory?
He's certainly close enough to make a move. Getting a bit of a run coming off of turn number 2. Closing in on the back bumper. What does he do here in turn number 3? He's going to have to get aggressive. He's peeking down low. He drives it in. Oh, he misses it. He switches to the outside line and pushes big. That mistake is going to cost Peters the opportunity to win. The most dominant car of the night comes to Japan and takes the checkered flag in the bombs away 69 as they door bang behind for position. Coming across the line, Kenny Kibbe, the dominant car of the night, will cap it off with a victory here at the Twin Ring Motegi Oval. Devin Marhefka able to clip John Peters at the line for position number 2, forcing Peters back to 3rd. Evan Bollier with a late race charge finishes in position number 4. And how about Jeff McConey, the super sub for Dylan Kopech, brings that number 16 machine home with a top 5 finish.
Exciting, intense racing here at the NEP series. And man, oh man, just taking a look at it, looking at the points, Steven Daddio finishes in 7th. He came in 33 points outside of the championship. Kenny Kibbe doing exactly what he needed to do. He led all the laps. He came out with the victory, and he is very well going to leave here potentially with the word. We'll see if we can get official word on that championship trophy, but things are looking mighty good for that number 4 car. We'll take a look at the results. Already gone through the top 5. Just on the outside, we made mention, Daddio going to finish in 6th, Ryan Messer in 7th, Zane Farrell, Mike Hopkins in 9th, Dale Glessner in 10th. Parent, Uhouse, Henry, Ship, and Davis can round out the top 15.
16th place finisher goes to Scott McDonald. Brandon Marhefka will finish in 17th. Ryan Salvatore, big break for him there. Unfortunately, slides back to 18th. Same with Brent Roy. Late race troubles ships him back to 19th. Austin Belke, the last car on the lead lap, he finishes in 20th. The remaining cars either out of the race or off of the lead lap. Brian Ship in 21st. Jason Ricker in 22nd. Jeffrey Brown 23rd. Charles Lewandowski 24th. And Cody LeBlanc, who we saw in that early race incident, finishes in dead last in 25th place.
Get a quick opportunity here to talk to the top 3 drivers in the Turn 4 podcast post-race show. We're going to talk to first the 3rd place driver, 3-time reigning and defending series champion, not going to be able to get that championship this year. But John, doing everything you can to try and end on a high note. Podium finish here tonight. Congratulations, man. Talk to us.
Thanks, guys. It's good to chat with you again. Kyle Young, holy crap, welcome back. Quick shout out to Tanner, Lydia, Emerson watching. Thanks for them for tuning in. My sister Heather and Evan. Yeah, that was a really fun race, but also really frustrating at the same time. I feel like I attacked Motegi like I normally like to do and just bide my time and save my tires. It seemed to work out there towards the end of that first run and pit cycle and coming through traffic. Got myself cycled to the lead and was hoping to just kind of run that out. But as usually is the case, the cautions kind of threw a wrench in everything. And that last one there, I just didn't get through traffic quite like Kenny did. And then it was a track position battle. So I had a couple shots at him at green, white checkers. 2 laps is tough to make a real pass here without trying to move someone out of the way. I didn't really want to do that. So I got a couple good runs on Kenny down the backstretch and out of 2. And then last lap there, I tried to throw it down to the bottom and 3 pretty hard to force his hand, and he blocked that off. So my Hail Mary attempt kind of cost me a spot, but it was still fun. Glad to come away with the top 3, and it's a fun racetrack. I hope it was not too boring for the masses who were trying to entertain here, but from the seat, it was very entertaining.
Yeah, lots of action getting around this 1.5 mile racetrack out in Japan, and it drives very differently. Two completely different styles, 2 different corners rather, at this racetrack. What's kind of going through your mind? Do you have to save tires, save fuel? What's the game plan coming into this track?
I think everybody pretty much runs it differently. I try to aggressively save tires, and you're right that the 2 corners are completely different. Turns 1 and 2 are just super long and sweeping, and you almost have to really wait much longer than you think you need to wait to get back in the throttle. So I try to just wrap the white line, almost kind of old Atlanta style. And then 3 and 4 is really odd. It's almost like turn 1 at North Wilkesboro, where you enter a little bit high and use the apex to your advantage. So they couldn't be more different, but this track does eat tires alive. So I think that first run there, when I went really easy, I was able to get back to Kenny's bumper in 34 laps, but it took some time, probably longer than I thought it would take. It's just, I think it's one of those tracks that really requires you to focus, and it's super line sensitive. If you just miss the groove by a half a lane, you can really lose a lot of time. So that's, to me, what is fun about it. A lot of finesse involved, and it makes it entertaining, trying to make sure you hit your marks every lap.
These microphones work really well when they're plugged in. Want to give you one more opportunity here, John, to thank anybody out there that may be watching. Who gets it done here for you for the virtual 09 team?
I thought I lost connection there for a second.
I did too.
Wow. Yeah. Again, thanks to my nieces and nephews and sister and brother-in-law watching. Thanks to my fiance and my 2 dogs for letting me do this. My mom who watches. Everybody who tunes in. Everybody who sponsors this race and the races all year long. And then shout out to you guys for doing this and making it so people can watch. Certainly appreciate it. We'll try to end strong here. I don't know if we have 1 or 2 more weeks, but I know Dover's coming up, which is usually fun. So we'll try to close it out strong.
Getting ready to close out strong. Just another opportunity or 2 to make a little magic happen and come home in victory lane. Great run here tonight, John. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, guys. Good to talk to you.
Just a little bit further on down, speaking of opportunities, Kyle, you've caught up with the winner down there in victory lane.
I sure have, Paul. The man to beat tonight in Japan was, well, unbeatable. Kenny Kibbe, car number 4, your winner here tonight, leading the most laps and holding off John Peters on a multitude of late race restarts to claim the checkered flag in this one. Kenny, we saw the tale of 2 completely different races as this one progressed. We had a very long green flag run to start, and then some late race drama really put it into anybody's hands towards the end of it. How did you have to kind of change your mindset after being green flag for so long and then having to go through some short run late race restarts afterwards?
Yeah, really, at the end there, it kind of turned into just running a few qualifying laps and had to get really, really good jumps on the restarts, and luckily we were able to do that. But yeah, it kind of got me out of my rhythm just a little bit, having these starts and restarts, not really being able to race much, but at the end. But yeah, I just had to put down 2 really fast laps and drive it in deep, hope it stuck for a couple laps, and hope we made it back to the checkered.
We talked about during our pre-race show that this track was going to be very difficult to handle. Each end of the track shaped very differently. It's an abrasive surface that eats away tires. How did that play into your favorite tonight? Because we saw during that long green flag run, you were up in front the entire time. Did a good job at conserving your equipment and making it last during that run. Was it as challenging as we thought, or was it really a fairly decent obstacle to tackle?
Well, last year I had a lot to learn after last year. Last year here, I struggled with the tire wear, really fell off a cliff and finished, I don't know, like back portion of the top 10. So in practice or warm up this year, I went to school and really tried to kind of master what the real line was here, and I figured it out. And yeah, then it just comes down to repeating that. And once I know what the line is and what the formula is to run fast at these tracks, I really love these kind of rhythm race tracks. They require you to do different things on both ends of the track. So once I got it down, it really fit into my strengths. I just needed to learn it a little more. Don't race on this place a whole lot, so it's kind of a different animal. But after that, yeah, I felt really comfortable. And some other guys looked like they saved their tires just a little bit better than I did, but it really came down to track position at the end. It was really hard to pass, even if you did have the better tires or the faster lap.
Of course, we have to talk big picture now as we roll into the season finale 1 week from tonight. You beat Steven Daddio by 5 more positions tonight to extend your lead. I don't know if that guarantees you the championship at this point or not, but if not, you are oh so close to being able to do so. What does it feel like going into Dover, which is another very challenging racetrack, just like this one is, knowing that the majority of the championship pressure is off of you, and it's pretty much going to take a miracle in order for you to lose this thing?
Yeah, I mean, even if we do have to race it, we'll be racing against our teammate Steve Daddio, and he's been awesome to race against all year. So even if we do have to fight for it, fighting against him is, not too scary of a task. Although, him being fast obviously makes it a little scary. But I think we wrapped it up tonight. We got maximum points tonight. We won the race. We got pole. We got led a lap and led the most laps. So. If that's the case, and if I don't have to worry about points, then I'm going to go into Dover and have a bunch of fun. I'm just going to go for it and see if I can get another win.
He'll roll into Dover next week, staring Miles the Monster dead in the face, egging him on for a challenge. Another win for Kenny Kibbe this season. Kenny, who would you like to thank for making the trip to Victory Lane?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody at the NEP for letting me come by and race every week, the Shift Marketing and Design, the Chonkers team for the sponsorship of the race tonight, you guys at Vidane TV for the broadcasts, and shout out to John Peters and Devin Marhevka, too, with a great run after taking 2 tires. Great job by him, and good racing with John, as we have every week with him. So fun racing with him, and yeah, we'll move on to next week.
Your winner tonight in the Bombs Away 69 at the Twin Ring Motegi Oval. And we weren't even thinking about bonus points, Paul. More than likely, the 2022-2023 NEP Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series champion, getting it done a week early, Kenny Kibbe. He's going to head into Dover Motor Speedway next week. Looking forward to hoisting the trophy then, but he gets to go with very little to no stress to try to hoist both trophies, because there's still another race win on the line.
Indeed, there is, and going to try and get hooked up with our second place driver. Looks like he's in the Pennsyltucky Big Red trailer, so we're not sure what's going on there. We'll see if we can give him just a moment here. But a great race here tonight at Twin Motegi. Championship season coming to a close. Man, oh man, putting in the work as the number 4 car, Kenny Kibbe. You heard it. We are almost 90% sure Kenny's going to be able to claim himself as the champion a week early. Still getting ready to hit that time clock next week, though. and put in one more good, valiant effort. Try and get another win here on the season. But Kyle, it's dwindling down with the iRacing stuff, but the real racing, everything's getting put together at the tracks. It's getting warmer out. What's going on with Dr. Race Chaser? What's on the menu here in the next couple of weeks?
Man, you're certainly right, and I'm looking forward to it. It was a gorgeous day here in Charlotte today. It's going to be another warm one tomorrow, so it's actually starting to feel like spring. And driving around during work today, it's like, man, I wish I could go to the racetrack because it feels like the perfect race day. It'll be pretty calm and quiet week for me this week for race chasing. I'm going to make the trip down to the Florence Motor Speedway on Saturday in Timmonsville, South Carolina for my very first Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour event. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's their second race of the season. They started their season 2 weeks ago at the Southern National Motorsports Park with both their late model stock car division and their pro late model division. This weekend, they will only have the late model stock cars in action. But honestly, the late model stock cars are kind of where all the big names are at. Your Brendan Queens, your Deke McCaskills, your Carson Quapples, all those guys. That's where the majority of the field lies. So that should be a really fun race to watch. That is a small, flat, short track down in South Carolina. Kind of became the track that was revived after the unfortunate loss of Myrtle Beach Speedway a few years ago. So pretty cool to have that event to look forward to. Weather's looking fairly decent, some lower percentages for rain, but nothing too terrible that I don't think we should have to really worry about too much. And then next week it's a little bit bigger, a little bit busier. I'll be back at my home track, Millbridge Speedway in Salisbury, North Carolina on Wednesday for another weekly program there. And then on Friday, I'm headed up north 4 hours to Richmond for my third NASCAR weekend of the year. Friday night, we've got the Ground Pounders, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. Those guys are always a blast to watch. There will be the Xfinity Series on Saturday. If I do my research properly and do what I did last year, I might try to make the trip to Dominion Raceway and make that a doubleheader on Saturday night. And then, of course, you got a 400 lapper for the Cup Series next Saturday to kick off the month of April for NASCAR. April is going to be a super busy month for me between all the race chasing I got going on. I got my mom coming down to spend a couple weeks with me here at my apartment in Charlotte, so I am super excited for everything that's going to happen. She's even going to come to Talladega with me in about a month, so I'm really stoked for that, to bring her first Talladega experience with NASCAR. Of course, you guys can follow everything, all of my race chasing adventures at the Dr. Race Chaser Facebook and Twitter pages. You just have to search for Dr. Race Chaser on both, at Dr. Race Chaser specifically on Twitter. We've been doing pretty good, Paul. The Twitter numbers have been kind of stagnant at right around 190 followers, but the Facebook numbers are starting to trickle up. Once we got over the 100 follower mark, we continued to rise up at 124. So it's really cool to see the rise of that going on. Just trying to share my adventures traveling the country, being at racetracks and having fun, and hopefully convincing more people to do some research and support their local racetracks at the same effort.
And it's always cool to be able to bridge that gap like we do here at Verdane TV, from the sim racing to the real racing world, and kind of handing out different perspectives on different things. We'll see if we can get caught up with our second place finisher one more time. I know we're interrupting a team meeting down there, it looks like, but Devin, man, 2 tires and that last pit stop. How hard was it to hold on to that podium finish?
Honestly, it wasn't that bad. I just kind of took 2 tires because I wasn't going to go anywhere else, and I guess it worked out in the end.
100%. Coming home looking strong in that 22 car. We'll give you a quick opportunity. Anybody out there watching, anybody you want to thank to get this car to and from the virtual track?
First of all of everybody that helps us on the actual race cars. I actually just bought a race car, so gonna have a little bit more racing in real life for my Hefka Motorsports. But Memorial Highway Chevrolet, Allied Milk Producers, Burke Towing, Fast Freight Express, and a couple other guys, Valvoline, Speed 77, and then on top of that, all my friends from college are actually watching this race, so that's pretty cool.
One more race in the season here. Season 4 coming to a close. You got anything for him for Dover next week?
Well, if it goes green like it did last year or the year before, I can't remember, then yeah. But if we got a bunch of restarts, I'm not too confident.
Well, one way to find out, though, tune in live here on Verdane TV. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. Great race here tonight. Back on the jet, back over to the States in Dover, Delaware next week. We'll see you then. and that's going to be the second place finisher. Crazy to see that 2 tire stop holding on for that second position in the 22 car. That's a whole lot of twos. Interesting. But man, oh man, we're going to take ourselves a couple of nights off. Tuesday night, we return for the Liberty Racing Series Championship. And then Thursday night, right back here with the NEP Series, going to crown ourselves a champion officially. Kenny Kibbe out front by a country mile, but we will get the official word and get that squared away for next week. We will catch you on the flip side. And when we do, we are going to be doing it live.